Good evening, everyone. Happy St. Patrick's Day. I'm sorry we can't serve beer, but it's okay. Okay. In accordance with the requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, PL 1975 announcement, I wish to announce that the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the School District of the Chatham's Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted in the Board Administrative Offices, sent to the clerks of Chatham Borough and Chatham Township, the Library of the Chathams, the Chatham Courier, the Daily Record, the Star Ledger, and TAP. Mr. DeQuilla?
Ms. Ross?
Here.
Ms. Allen?
Here.
Mr. Del Sandro? Here. Ms. Peck? Here. Mr. Ryan? Here. Mr. Smith? Here. Ms. Weber?
Here.
Dr. Zhang?
Here.
And Ms. Ciccarelli?
Here.
9 present in the county.
Perfect. If you're able, please stand to join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. The flag is over here to my left.
The United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. I have no additional comments at this time. I'm going to hand it over to Dr. LaSousa.
Thank you, Ms. Ciccarelli. We have a packed agenda for the most part tonight, and we will begin with a set of student presentations. And I'll preface this by saying a few months ago I was in the middle school at the end of the day, for some reason or another, kind of wandering around, and 2 of our rock star teachers, Jessica Laetis and James Hitchings, pulled me into the room where they do their work with the Taco Cats, which is our middle school robotics team. And I know many people in the audience know all about the Taco Cats. And then maybe a month or 2 later, I ran into another superstar teacher at our high school, Julie Ryan, who we stole from another district about 10 years ago, who has helped to build our advanced robotics program at the high school. And she mentioned, hey, maybe we can come back to a board meeting some point in the future, because in the past they had come every few years to kind of demonstrate what the kids were up to. So, of course, I said yes. I wasn't even thinking that March 17th was actually St. Patrick's Day and people might have other plans, but all the students here have generously donated their time tonight to kind of show us what they do in the robotics world. So I'm going to ask Jessica and James to come up first with their students. I'll hand them the microphone and they can talk about what they're doing and what they're up to. And then after Jess and James are here with their students, Julie will come up with some of our high schoolers. All right, you go over there, wherever you're comfortable.
Up you go. If you guys are presenting, you can come back here with me. Yeah, if you're talking, come back here with me. All right. All right, we're organized. Good evening, and thank you guys for having us tonight. My name is, and I'm a teacher at the Chatham Middle School and also the coach of the Taco Cat robotics team. I've been working with this team since it started in 2017, and back then we were known as Cougar Nation. I was at the time the only coach for about 4 years, and then Mr. Hitchings joined us as an assistant coach, which was really awesome. That happened in 2021. In 2023, our team, and some of these members are still on the team now, they proposed changing the name. We used to be known as Cougar Nation, and they noticed that our team number 34043 was a palindrome, and they said, can we be Team Taco Cat? And I said, yes, draw me a logo, and that's what is on their shirts. So we are an FLL robotics team, which stands for First Lego League. We are part of the same First Robotics family as the high school team, just competing in the middle school division. In FLL, we do have a lot of interest in our school for this program, but we are on our team, and we are required to have 2 coaches. As part of our league, we not only build and program a robot, but also engage in a research project to help our community, which is based around a central theme each year. Team members meet with and get feedback from various industry professionals, including our Chatham mayor. Our team creates mentorship and community outreach opportunities for team members and introduces them to the skills they will need when they get to the high school robotics team.
Hello, I'm James Hitchings. I'm an assistant coach and a teacher of design technology at the middle school. Don't worry, board, I'm not here to talk union stuff tonight, so I just wanted to talk a little bit about how the team prepares for their competitions. We hold practice twice a week until about 5 p.m. and leading up into competitions, the students come down during their study halls. They're there for extended practices. They work really, really hard. They also, throughout the school year, participate in some team building activities. They'll talk about some of those as we go. Our competitions are all-day events, Saturdays and Sundays. And at our competitions, I'll talk a little bit about some of the awards that we've won in the past. We also have what we call an off-season after our competitions, where the students compete against each other and also against us. And that's their chance to kind of build new code, try new things, and come up with things. So we have had a really successful season this year. Some of the awards we've won in the past, in 2017, they got the Robot Design Award and a second place Core Values Award. In 2022, they got the first place Motivator Award. That was our first year going to championships. 2023, we got the Robot Design Award, second place Research Award, first place Motivate Award at championships again. And then at that championships, they got 11th place out of 80 teams. And then in 2024, we got second place in Robot Games, Engineering Excellence Award, first place in the Motivate Award at championships, and they got 12th place out of 80 in the championships. And that, when we do the math of that, the top 25% of New Jersey goes to championships of FLL through the entire league. So we're about the top 4% of New Jersey. Some other major accomplishments, one of our seniors from the robotics team was on this team with us a few years ago, where they created a plan to rework the traffic in Chatham, and they were invited to talk with the mayor about their plan. Unfortunately, that was also the time the world shut down, so that never actually came on. But that was something that was really cool. They were invited to a roundtable with the mayors to talk about that. And this year, our team raised $2,160 for the Passaic River Coalition, which they donated in order to keep the Chatham rivers and waterways clear. I'm now going to introduce you to our team members, who will talk a little bit, and then some of our members on stage will show you some of their robots. So this is Ryan.
Thank you for having us this evening. My name is Ryan, and I'm a 6th grader, and this is my first year on the team. Up there on the left in the light blue shirt is Vivon, in the middle is Veer, on the right is Shreya, and the right is Shamavi. Veer's in 7th grade, and me, Vivon, Shreya, and Shamavi are in 6th grade.
We are excited to talk to you about what our team does, our accomplishments, and show you some of our robots and code. If it's okay with you, we'd like to come up on stage with some robots and attachments while the rest of the team presents.
My name is Zuleika, and I'm in 7th grade, and this is my first year on the team. Each year, FLL provides a new team for our robot game and research project. This year's theme focused on exploring the oceans. We chose to research how plastics affect sonar exploration, collaborating with industry professionals like Chatham Township Mayor, Ms. Ewald, and local water quality experts like Ms. Lavinge, the Director of Water Quality Programs for the Great Swamp. Our team meets every Tuesday and Wednesday after school until 5, and sometimes later. We also meet on Fridays at each other's houses to maximize efficiency and for some team bonding time. So far, we have spent over 180 hours working together, with more to come. We focus on building strong teamwork, conducting research, and documenting everything in our engineering notebook. For Robot Game, we created Chromebot, which operates autonomously, completing tasks without human control. It features motorcycle wheels for traction, a color sensor to activate codes, and a universal attachment system for quick changes, all driven by custom functions and precise programming. In the first LEGO League, FLL, the robot is designed to autonomously complete a series of missions on the game field within a set time limit. In the 2024 to 2025 season, The challenge focuses on marine ecosystems, with tasks such as raising coral reefs, releasing sharks, and deploying artificial habitats. The robot must be programmed to navigate the field, interact with objects, and perform these specific missions to score the maximum points possible.
Hello, my name is Sebastian. I'm in 7th grade. This is my second year on the team. As a team, we compete about 3 times a year. Our first formal competition is regional qualifiers, where about 30 teams compete against each other. 6 teams advance to championships based on their scores in 4 categories: robot performance, innovation project, robot design, and gracious professionalism or core values. Teams must be in the top 25% of all 4 categories to be eligible for advancement. We have advanced to championships for the past 3 years and we're judged in the same categories as qualifiers. Our championships, there are the 80 of the best teams in New Jersey and the Eastern PA area competing, sharing ideas, and having a ton of fun. We placed 11th and 12th in the past 2 years overall. In the robot game, we code and run an autonomous robot, which means we are not controlling it. We do all of the coding ahead of time, so the robot relies on the gyro, color, distance, force, and motor sensors. Part of our score is a presentation of our innovation or research project about a topic related to improving ocean exploration this year. We also have a presentation about our robot design or attachments and code, where we talked about our acceleration, deceleration code, which is new for us this year.
My name is Henry. I'm an 8th grade captain. This is my second year on the team. In FLL, we use our core values to create a meaningful experience for everyone. We explore new skills and ideas together while using creativity and persistence to solve problems. We apply what we learn to improve our world while embracing our differences. We understand that we are stronger when we work together, and above all, we have fun. While programming, we use critical thinking to enhance our code. We created a function so that a single movement is a series of complex math equations to determine the speed at any moment and maintain a straight heading. You can see examples of our code. In our off-season, we experiment with new coding techniques. 2 of the new techniques we are working on are exponential acceleration and PID. In our move forward and backward code, we accelerate at a linear speed. We're currently working on accelerating at an exponential rate. Acceleration prevents the robot from skidding when starting, and exponential acceleration gives us better control over this. We use a rise over run formula for our slope. To accelerate exponentially, instead of accelerating at a constant speed, we use y equals ab to the x power, where b is our rate of change, providing a smoother and more accurate acceleration deceleration. We use a gyro sensor to maintain a specific heading while using variables in our code that perform equations. PID stands for proportional integral derivative into our code to make our robot more precise. PID uses integrals and derivatives to flatten a line, making the robot go perfectly straight.
My name is Rion, and I'm an 8th grade captain, and this is my 3rd year on the team. In my 3 years on the team, I've had many great experiences. I learned to be a better teammate and how to persevere through difficulties. We faced lots of issues and obstacles, but we kept going and got through it. We understand that what we learn together is more important than winning. I have learned how to think quickly on my feet and react to changing circumstances. Through our robot design and innovation project, I have learned to be a better public speaker and present my ideas to my peers and adults. I have learned how to demonstrate and apply gracious professionalism in all that I do. As a team, we have explored advanced programming and computer science principles. We have applied skills that we have learned in math, science, ELA, and social studies classes. We have learned how to conduct research and find innovative solutions to real-world problems in our community. Together, we have experienced successes and failures. 1 year at our qualifiers competition, our robot's code was accidentally erased, and we were able to work together as a team and still advance to championships that year. We were very proud of this achievement. I would like to take a moment to thank my coaches for all the time they put into this program. Before competitions, I would go during study hall to get extra time to work on the robot. Ms. Lice and Mr. Hitchings gave up that extra time to help us prepare for competition. Even though I beat Ms. Lice and Mr. Hitchings in our off-season competition last year, I still consider them my mentors and have become very close with them over the years. I remember the lessons they taught me for the rest of my life.
So thank you for your time this evening. It's really great to be able to have these guys come in and show you their work. We are super, super proud of the work that these students have done. So we'll ask our Taco Cats to start packing it up on the board, and we will turn you over to Miss Ryan and the high school team.
All right, great job, Taco Cats. You guys did awesome. My name is Julie Ryan, and as Dr. LaSousa said, I'm the design and technology teacher at the high school, and I spearheaded creating the advanced robotics program when I was hired in 2014. Prior to the pandemic, I really was out here with the kids quite frequently, and when I realized Dr. LaSousa was at the end of his time here with us at School Districts of the Chatham, figured we needed to get back here at least once again before he moves on. So thank you again for all your support, both from the school district and the Board of Education, for everything you've helped us achieve over the last 10 years. It's been a very, very fun, challenging, but exciting ride. So my students have a very similar theme that they're doing at the high school that the Taco Cats just shared their experience. They are competing in the First Tech Challenge, which is the high school division of the first robotics sector. And they are also building, designing, and collaborating to build a robot for what the needs are of that year's challenge. And they are also trying to fundraise to meet the needs of their program outside of the school district support. Where we really differ is the high schoolers, similar to our middle schoolers, are spread really thin. They have really, really high rigorous schedules. They're all involved in athletics. Many of our members are currently preparing for the spring musical this week. And to really make sure we could have a really strong foundational program, we found a way to work it inside of our curriculum. So they actually work together inside the classroom, but then also during lunches and after school with me to have enough time to actually create these robots. The ones that they're going to show you that are in front of you right now, there's no instruction list. They don't know how to really put them together when they're given the parts, and they have to figure out how to do that. Maybe they have hands-on knowledge with tools and machines, but sometimes we have to learn what an Allen key is and how to use a driver to tighten a lock nut. It all kind of comes together in the room depending on their prior experience, and ultimately it's always a really great collaborative experience for them. Over the years, we've won a ton of awards. We've gone to the state championship 8 out of the 10 years. We've advanced to the world championship 3 times, and the year that we actually placed in the top 10 in the innovation challenge within the world championship was during the pandemic year in 2021. They continue to surprise me. They always come in exceeding my expectations and working together to do new, exciting things. So this year, we had a group of 18 students in total, so I have 2 teams. And 12 of them are seniors. They're all graduating this year. All 12 are moving on to STEM careers, which is really exciting. And the remaining 6 that are still with me next year will most likely be moving on to STEM-related careers as well. At this time, I'm going to let them take over because they are the stars of the show. And just thank you again for your time. It's up to you. One, 2, from here.
There you go. Thank you, sir. So we put a lot of effort into building these robots, right, each year. So we start out with just a challenge. And so from there, there's a lot of talking and brainstorming and trying to figure out which designs we want to go with, how we want to do different things. So this year, we had a game element we had to pick up. And so there's a lot of talking about how we're going to grab that. And so inevitably, unfortunately, things don't go as we planned. So we've built these robots up. We've spent, months working on these, and then they unfortunately do not work out sometimes. And that problem solving that we then do to still compete or to succeed within the competition is really important, and it's a skill that I think all of us have had to use and have really honed through the program. Like for instance, I think we were outside of the size constraints this year, and so we ended up fixing that and we're able to compete. But there's a lot of stuff that we learn outside of the technical stuff, right? So we have 3D printed parts, we have all sorts of stuff on this, but there's a lot more value than just that technical aspect to this program. We learn how to collaborate and design these robots. We have to do fundraising, outreach. We're looking for mentors, sponsors, and we're trying to fundraise so we can buy parts that would be helpful, or we need to do stuff for the challenge. So there's a lot of that. There's a lot of time management, making sure we get our bot done on time. So that it's really just a really challenging problem to approach. And in the end, I think we're all better for it, for this program. I'm going to pass the mic to.
Hi, my name is Daniel Steiner, and I'm the team captain for Chatham's 9853 robotics team. So as a team this year, we've really been the rookie team. The other Chatham team, 11248, has had a lot of returning members. But in some ways, while we've been disadvantaged to have so many new members, I think it's also a privilege. Working with so many new people, we've really been able to develop both as individuals and as a team. Many of these people have never had any experience in robotics before. They haven't been on the middle school team. They don't take STEM classes. And through this program of robotics that Chatham has, it's able to open so many doors for so many individuals to let them into a field of STEM that they never could otherwise do. And for that, I'm so proud of the entire team and what they've been able to accomplish this year. So I'm going to pass off to Jara now. Talk a little bit about that.
This year I learned a lot about CAD through one of our members. He's a senior. I'm a level 1, and he taught me so much about CAD and how to design stuff. On our robot, we have this bucket here, and we went through a lot of designs to get that bucket right. But yeah, he just taught me so much. Also this year, we focused on outreach to try and get more kids involved with robotics. Our main outreach event was a Devil's Game, where we reached thousands of people. We demonstrated our robots from last year. I'm going to pass it to Jack.
Hi, I'm Jack Lotman. This is my first year doing the program, and I'm really enjoying it. So one thing we did is that we built a robot over many different iterations. Initially, we currently have these two parts, which is like a bucket and an arm. They used to be just one big part. We managed to change it and split it up to two. It's really awesome just seeing how our robot evolves over the course of the season and how we perform. Additionally, we also have many fun things ahead of us now that the season is over, and we get to do more skills-based work in the off season so we can improve for future seasons.
So this is our bot, obviously. So at the beginning of the year, we started with sort of just one really long arm. And then as we went through the season, we sort of it was trial and error. And we found that this sort of worked a little better with two arms. Yeah, it took a lot. It took a lot of time and a lot of teamwork and a lot of collaboration to figure out what could really work and what would be stable and what could work with the competition environment. So, do we want a demo? Okay, here, take this.
All right, so now we're going to show off the robots, the fun part, right? So we took very different approaches to the challenge this year. There were some new elements that were, so we had an expansion limit this year, so our robot could only expand so far, and that was a pretty big design challenge that wasn't previously a consideration. And so both teams took a look at that and approached it from, very different angles. So 9853 used an active intake that uses motors to pick up the scoring elements and put them in a little bucket so that they can then be scored, whereas //11248 used two claws that hand off to each other. Both utilize 3D printed elements that we designed and made ourselves, and we wired the bots. We do all of this from scratch. So it goes from metal pieces, filament on a spool, and Lexan in a closet to the bot you see before you. if anyone has any questions, we'd be happy to answer them too. Yep.
Squibb and Stanley Preschool, are those sponsors?
Yeah, so we've had the privilege as a team of being sponsored by a number of different companies. Through the program, we've been able to go around and talk to different local businesses and different broader organizations, both ones we have personal connections to and ones we never would have otherwise been able to interact with and get sponsorships from them.
Awesome.
Any other questions?
Picked it up.
It looks like you can use these to clean up your room, like scoop and pick up.
Some of the other cool things that these robots can do, right, is we can drive sideways. So your normal car and stuff like that can't do that, right? But we can strafe sideways. You can drive diagonally and go in all sorts of directions. If someone wants to show that off quickly, that would be great. Yeah, there. So we can strafe sideways. We can drive diagonally. We can go in all directions. It's pretty cool. And so we not only build these robots, we program them as well. So these are all built and programmed from scratch. So it's pretty cool.
Very cool.
Very cool.
Thank you, guys. Ms. Ryan, do you have
Guys,
anything?
one more question.
Yep.
So, congratulations. First of all, you're all amazing, and this is really fun to watch and impressive. Tell us about how many hours you work on it, and what do you do in the off season? Are you still working on robotics in the off season too?
Yeah, so for our team, at least for 9853, I would say that average team member probably spends at least 15 to 20 hours a week working on a robot.
Oh my gosh.
It really is, it's like a varsity sport. It's a full-time commitment. You know, every member of our team, we love working on it, and it's a huge hobby and a huge part of our lives. Even once the season is over, as it is now, you know, while we haven't advanced to states, we're still working on our robots. We're preparing for next year, and we're ready to come back and have an even better season.
I have a question for you guys. Do you think this experience helped you decide or know better what you want to do for college?
Yeah, I started in CS, so I started with like CSP and CSA, and then I talked to Miss Ryan because she did Python with me, or like I took her Python class, and I asked her like, oh, like I was recommended for advanced robotics, like should I take it? Do you think? And she told me, yeah, like you should try it out, and I did, and I think it like did really solidify like I want to do like CS and like some form of like engineering or something like that.
I always knew I wanted to go into medicine of like any kind, but when I took the introduction to robotics last year, I was like really inspired by all of the robots that we had made, even though they were very simple designs. There was this one project that I remember that Miss Ryan made us do when there was a substitute, and it was talking about how robotics was influencing the world currently, and I stumbled upon this article from Penn State talking about prosthetics that they made in their biomedical engineering department. So from there, I was just very like immersed and motivated, and I wanted to do advanced robotics the next year. And now I plan to major in biomedical engineering and like start a surgical instrument or prosthetic company in the future. So I'd say it really influenced my life. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And for me, I was fortunate enough to be on the robotics team in the middle school actually, and do FLL through that, and then the interest kind of continued because I loved doing that. So I took basic robotics and I continued on to robotics in the high school, and I'm currently I've applied to colleges helping you do mechanical engineering. So yeah. Awesome. Yeah. So thank you guys for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you all very, very much. Thank you, Ms. Ryan and Mr. Hitchings and Ms. Laetis. You guys don't have to stick around to hear the budget presentation. You all can go if you want to. And the next item on my agenda is the budget presentation, so the board members can head on down to the seats. That's true. Nick, can you just change the view so it's full screen? Yes, the last one. And I remember the one 10 or 11 years ago when we created a robotics and design program, which we hadn't really had before, at least not K-12. All right. All right. Well, I'll start by thanking the members of the Finance Committee. We had unusual schedules the past couple of weeks, and they all were very patient in trying to figure out a time or multiple times to talk, which culminated in a meeting just yesterday afternoon. And it was a thoughtful discussion, one that considered many different variables as we were putting together the budget. So a giant thank you to the Finance Committee. So some familiar kinds of talking points for the most part. Our expenses continue to rise, and I'll get into that in a minute. Our revenues have also increased. In part, that's due to modest amounts of state aid that have been increasing for us over the past 8 years, ever since a law known as S2 took effect. Our enrollment, as I've mentioned before, has hit its bottoming out at the elementary school level and now is starting to rise. So our smallest cohorts of students right now are in 4th and 5th grade, and then they're a little bit larger in the grades 1 through 3. And then something that we've talked a lot about, but now is becoming more of a reality, is that Governor Murphy, and I'll get to this in a second, has proposed to require full-day kindergarten for free for all students in New Jersey imminently, though we don't have a specific timeline. So big picture expenses, our collective bargaining agreements all fall within 3 and 3.5% in terms of annual increases. Our health benefits premium this year rose 13.1%. That's actually slightly less than the state health benefits plan is rising, but it's in line with industry-wide trends in terms of health benefits increases. Inflation is still elevated, at least it's much higher than 2%. And for us, like very specifically, that last bullet there, the transportation CPI that the state sets and then our vendors must conform to is at 3.57%. And of course, in terms of expenses, we have really been marching on a direction toward trying to implement full-day kindergarten, ideally for free. But this current year, as many of you know, we do have full-day kindergarten running for all students in the district, although at a tuition rate of $5,000. So looking a little bit more closely then at the revenues that are possible. The tax levy last year was just shy of $75 million. The state, the Department of Education that is, each year tells districts whether it can exceed a 2% tax levy increase and by how much it may consider increasing its tax levy beyond the 2%. And for those of you who've been attending these meetings, the most common adjustment to the tax levy that we've received over the years is in health insurance, because the way that New Jersey law currently works is that essentially the amount of your state, of your health benefits increase that falls within the state health benefit increase is permitted to be passed into the tax levy. So that is something that's kind of common there in the second bullet. We frequently get a health insurance adjustment to the tax levy if the board would like to use it in line with what the state health benefits health insurance increase is. In addition to that, this year, if you look at that top bullet, we received an enrollment adjustment from the state, and that just means that the state believes that our enrollment has increased to an extent that we can exceed the tax levy beyond the 2% cap. So even though our enrollment has been declining year over year over year over year, the way the formula or the way the state calculates the tax levy that is permissible to a school district, the state determined that we qualified for a slight enrollment adjustment of $232,000. Following along in that second bullet, beyond the health insurance adjustment, we have banked cap. So last year, Mr. Smith commented multiple times during this process that we were leaving taxing authority on the table, or the Board of Education was leaving taxing authority on the table. There was an unpursued amount of $930,000 that arose from our health insurance adjustment last year that the board did not roll into the tax levy. So that second bullet there in the second, in the middle of the screen, refers to the bank cap that is carrying forward from last year. And then at the bottom there, you can see that our state aid rose again. And like I just said, for the past 8 years, we've been receiving gradually more and more state aid to put us back beyond where we were initially when we lost most of our aid in the 2009-10 school year. Returning to full-day kindergarten, when I began as assistant superintendent in 2010, 80% of the districts in New Jersey offered full-day kindergarten. 20% did not, which means there were about 100 districts in New Jersey when I was assistant superintendent that did not have full-day kindergarten. The 100 districts have turned into fewer than 10, and almost all of the 9 have plans to offer and implement free full-day kindergarten now. So we have gradually, our cohort has shrunk and shrunk and shrunk over the years, and now we're at a point where we are probably staring free full-day kindergarten in the face based on the legislative support for it and the governor's statements recently, both in the State of the State address and also in his budget address. Our path toward full-day kindergarten, as you probably know, is that the year that the pandemic hit, that was the first year we had opened up 2 sections of full-day kindergarten that we selected on a lottery basis and charged $7,000 per seat for. That year, once the pandemic began and schools were closed in March, we refunded about 1/3 of the tuition. And the following year, which was the year we were open, but many districts were not open, at least to the extent that we were, the 2020-21 school year, we weren't able to offer any full-day kindergarten. That was because of spacing constraints and the way we needed to use our classrooms to open up school for as many students as possible. Once the pandemic subsided a little bit in the 21-22 school year, we returned to offering full-day kindergarten on a tuition basis. And this current year, this year, is the first time in the school district's history that we have all of our students who are enrolled in kindergarten in full day. And the only reason that was possible this year is because we relocated 3 sections of 3rd grade over to Lafayette, and Cheryl Russo and the team of teachers there were able to take on 66 students in this school building, at least right next door. And this year, because we were able to increase the total number of students in full-day kindergarten, you remember the Board of Education reduced the tuition rate from $7,000 to $5,000 for the current school year. So we have a budgeted amount of $1 million in the current school year budget relating to tuition for full-day kindergarten. In large part because we opened up full-day kindergarten for everyone, we've seen an increase in kindergartners this year. It historically was the case that we'd see somewhere between a 30 and 40% increase in students between kindergarten and 1st grade, because many of our parents would opt to enroll their students in private full-day options for kindergarten, and then once their children completed the private year, they would come to us in 1st grade, and we'd see a giant jump in enrollment from kindergarten to 1st grade. This year, we've seen a predictable increase in kindergarten students because full-day kindergarten tends to be much more attractive to parents for a variety of reasons, and they were happy that we were able to accommodate all students. And this, little chart just shows that our 12th grade, these are by year, our 12th graders and our kindergartners. Our 12th grade has kind of stayed somewhat flat over the past bunch of years. It's about to decline because after we get through the current 8th graders, really, there aren't any more numbers that approach 300. They really start to drift down. And in 4th and 5th grade right now, we have about 240 students in a class, and more like 250 in grades 1 through 3. So the 300 days are coming to an end, but little by little, our enrollments in kindergarten, first and second grade are ticking up. And I should just point out the 2019-20 kindergarten number is a little bit of an anomaly because these are the numbers at the end of the year, except the 229 is current day. But the 167 reflects how many parents pulled their kids out of kindergarten altogether when the pandemic hit. We also, of course, have some expenses related to the reconfiguration, and I just want to remind everyone, the only reason that we are reconfiguring the grade levels in the district is to be able to offer full-day kindergarten. There is no other reason that we wanted to take on that level of stress and change. The reason to do so was to move our third graders out of the current K through 3 buildings and into Lafayette so that we had classroom space available for full-day kindergarten. So obviously we're on the precipice of now implementing that when the coming school year begins. And so we have some costs, most of them relatively minor, in the form of making some adjustments to Chatham Middle School. The construction is the most expensive item on this list, and that is something that we're accomplishing out of capital reserve primarily. So the proposed budget, to get to the sort of the punchlines here, includes no increase in staffing, no headcount increase, even though our enrollment is starting to pick up a little bit at the elementary level. It includes the funding necessary to finish the reconfiguration. It maintains all other district programming, just like the robotics club here, the athletic programs that we offer. For the first time in probably 10 or 12 years, we're increasing this, we are proposing, or the board is, to increase the student activity fee that we charge at Chatham High School. That's just a flat fee that we charge any student to participate in whatever activities they want to participate in, from $150 to $200. And again, this year, for the second or third consecutive year, we're raising the subscription bus fee to account for the kinds of increases in transportation that we're experiencing. And we're also proposing the inclusion of full-day kindergarten for all families and all students for free, with no tuition charge. So looking at the revenues then, and kind of the numbers and detail behind what I just explained, the proposed 25-26, I should say 25-26, I apologize, budget shows an increase to the tax levy of 4.76%. And it leaves available, if you look at the very bottom row of this table, about $400,000 in banked cap, which would be unused tax levy authority that the board is not choosing to exercise this year, that it could choose to exercise next year or the year after. This is just an overview of major expenses, and you can see, and we'll post this, of course, online, but our health benefits costs are really the number that is jumping the most on this particular chart, or table, excuse me. The impact to the tax, the tax bill for every $100,000 of assessed value in each municipality, as well as the home that's assessed at the average, as you can see, is $43 roughly in the borough per 100K of assessed value, and $53 in the township. And so if you multiply those numbers by 10, that's what the impact would be on $1 million home. The average home assessment in the borough is $995,000 roughly, and the average assessment in the township is $863,000. And for the average assessed homes, the annual impact is estimated to be about $433 and $461 in the borough and the township, respectively. Just want to note, and these kinds of tables have been commonplace over the years, but in Morris County, if you look at all the pre-K through 12 school districts, and you take from the taxpayer guide to education spending off of the state website, the DOE website that is, our budgetary cost per pupil is still very low compared to most other districts or all other districts in the county. And looking at a per pupil expenditure with 3,500 students, and we're just shy of 3,600 right now, $500 equates $1.75 million. So you can see how, if you had a difference between the school district of the Chathams and some other district on this list, like Parsippany, of $1,000, 1,000 times 3,500 is a lot of money. It adds up. So even though the board is, the finance committee of the board is recommending a levy increase of 4.76% relative to other districts nearby and relative to the rate of inflation over the past 7 years or so, the committee, not to speak for them, believes that this is still a responsible budget and that it's important to take on full-day kindergarten for free, finally, after all the years that we've been working to get to this point. Some uncertainties that still remain as we look forward beyond just this budget is that, of course, federal funding is something that we're asking a lot of questions about. There is a lot of change in Washington, D.C. Our federal funding comes primarily in the form of IDEA funding. This is related to special education students and our enrollments and programs in special education. So we get about $1 million a year of that. There are rumors about how much or how little that may be reduced. We don't have any answers about that yet. Of course, there are additional housing developments that we know will come on as a matter of the fourth round obligations that municipalities have. And this is the final year of Governor Murphy's term, second term. So like when I said that for the past 8 years we've been receiving additional state aid, that largely has to do with a law that he signed in his second year called S2. So once we have a change in administration in Trenton, we could also see changes in posture toward school funding, at least for districts like us. So that's it. I'll ask the board members to come back up, and the Finance Committee can chime in, and other board members can ask questions.
Dr. D'Souza. Hold on, Nick's got to turn you on. Nick's got to turn you on. Oh, I wasn't on mic.
Thank you for the presentation, Dr. D'Souza. It's amazing to look at some of these charts and where inflation has gone. It's no secret that we've been dealing with rising costs for years. We've been very transparent about it. In addition, we passed a increase for the CEA. Our health insurance has been going up 10, 12, 13% a year. And at this point, with Trenton being very clear that full-day kindergarten was on the table, the committee decided this was the best logical decision.
I also just wanted to point out, Bradley, we talked about offering full-day kindergarten now makes us eligible for additional grant money. So I think it's important that we're getting ahead of that before that, that money dries up.
Yeah, Murphy was very clear that in addition to all the benefits received from this cohort of kids in age 5 and lower, and what having them in district at an earlier age does for early intervention, et cetera, that full-day kindergarten helps towards that. And also, he hinted at the fact that free preschool and or aid towards preschool would also be in the cards, but only if you offered a full-day kindergarten program.
And that would be revenue positive,
Revenue positive, correct.
which we're ineligible for now.
We are currently ineligible for it, along with the other district that's charging tuition.
Right.
Out of 608 districts in the state,
There's only one other.
I believe there's 2. There are 9 that are not offering full-day kindergarten, and I believe 2 that are charging. Is that accurate?
I don't know. I know we're the only one who offers only full day and charges for it as the only option.
So 1.
We're also carrying very little debt.
They're also carrying very little debt.
Were there any line items that we were able to reduce or eliminate on the budget without sacrificing education that saved us a significant amount of money?
I wouldn't say anything saved us a significant amount of money, like we always do if we think that we don't need, if we think that there are sections that are reducing in any one department or one grade level, we then reduce accordingly in terms of our headcount. I think Mr. DeQuilla would probably answer that we took a little bit money out of maintenance and maybe capital that he would have liked to have in there. You can jump in, Peter, about any specific reductions.
Yeah, I mean, there is no big amount of money or one account that you could say, oh, that has been over budgeted for years and years. Over the past few years, we've tightened the belt every year. So we're able to continue to explore efficiencies in purchasing by using different co-ops and state contracted vendors. So there's not any big cut anywhere in the budget. It's all kind of nickel and dime spots of going through and just trying to be tight and be smarter.
Can I ask one more question?
Of course.
How does busing impact kindergartners? Are they ride their own bus, they ride the bus with first and second graders?
Right, like even now, they ride with other students in those schools. What we will deal with next year, though, are more bus routes because of expanding the middle school to include fifth grade, and because we're trying to preserve subscription busing at the same levels roughly that we offer it now, because a lot of folks, we could, in other words, not add on as many new bus routes, but that would mean that fewer families who don't qualify based on distance would not have the option of having their kid ride a bus, even though they're a little closer to the school, then enables them to be guaranteed busing. So we're trying to preserve the ability of parents to opt for subscription busing if they want it.
The other thing I would mention, Dr. Sousa mentioned it in the presentation, but it needs to be brought up again, is that we're anticipating with the affordable housing, like our special education costs are going to go up commensurate with the affordable housing buying in the borough and in the township. That's factored into the budget.
Especially since we're already seeing it.
We're already seeing it.
We're already seeing
dramatically.
exponential increase. Exponential increase there, and exponential increase in healthcare.
Yeah.
It's very hard to fight a 13% increase when you're dealing with, it's a big number.
Yeah, and our health benefits broker met with the finance committee in the fall to discuss trends that are happening across the industry. And as you probably all know this, the class of drugs, the weight loss class of drugs that are now being applied to other ailments and that are, incredible and life-changing for so many people, still cost a lot of money, but they're being prescribed at higher and higher rates. And so across the entire industry, prescription costs are what are driving health insurance increases overall. And that's true of us.
Are there any cuts to the budget that lead to larger class sizes?
Not right now.
This is why one of the line items in the equipment budget is new microphones.
Can you repeat, Kate, can you just repeat your question because I couldn't hear you?
Oh, I asked if any of the cuts in the budget will lead to larger class sizes.
Got it.
Yes, and so at the current time, we maintained headcount essentially, except in places where we feel we don't need the headcount.
Right.
And then we've increased in places where we think we do. So it's about a flat headcount budget with about a flat enrollment.
In past years, that was the only lever we kind of had left.
So we've had a lot of issues this year, like roof replacements and boilers and bricks falling off, and how does that get addressed in the next budget? I would anticipate we have the same or more amount of work to do with aging buildings.
With aging buildings, there is always something to be done. As I have said in the past, our roof area is equivalent to the size of 7 football fields. So no matter, it seems we do a roof every year, and the roofs have 20 to 25-year lives. We've been able to manage the majority of our capital work from the capital spending. What happens every year, the district puts together, if you look at this budget, a $96 million budget. We do our best to spend less than $96 million by trying to restrict purchase orders as we get into the second half of the school year to make sure people actually need what they want or, what they budgeted. And the excess funds at the end of the year, we've been routinely depositing anywhere from $2 to as much as $4 million in capital reserve to pay for the projects. By doing this and banking the money, the district has been, I guess, prudent and not continually going for, hey, we need a referendum so because we have capital items and we have roofs and HVACs that we haven't been able to replace. Work done this summer was included in last year's budget. We're taking advantage of the state's SDA program where they offer 40% of reimbursement for a certain class of projects. So 2 of the roofs that were done last summer will be getting 40% of the cost back, and all of the HVAC univent replacements that will be done at the high school, middle school, and Lafayette this summer, we will get 40% of that money back. So the district outlays all the money. Once all the work's done, the state approves, they send us a check. So that'll go back into the capital reserve for future projects. So we try to be as prudent as we can and mindful of, how the money gets spent and when, and space out improvements. But you have to remember that our newest school is 60 years old. Or the original section of any of the newer buildings is 60 years old, and I believe that's the middle school was the last, the middle school and the high school are the last 2 buildings, to be constructed. And all the buildings have had subsequent additions, so we do our best. And I will say that the supervisor of buildings and grounds, John Cataldo, does a great job managing and trying to keep everything in the best working order as possible.
I'll just, point out too, on the addendum, there is budget information. The reason it's an addendum is that we didn't meet until 3 o'clock yesterday, and the presentation that I just put up wasn't completed until about 8 o'clock. So the addendum contains the typical resolutions for the budget, and within that resolution are items that are being funded through a withdrawal from capital reserve. So there are roof replacements there that Peter mentioned for Chatham High School. We do have some of the work at the middle school included in next year's budget. Some of it we're doing out of this current year's budget. And those types of adjustments at the middle school involve primarily taking oversized double classrooms and making them that are now a single classroom, turning them into 2 classrooms. But those rooms that we're targeting are original to the building with original equipment, with original flooring that contains asbestos, so they have to be abated. There's a Lafayette boiler replacement on here. I'm guessing that's an original boiler probably, and Lafayette was built, I think, in the 1950s, so that's got some age to it. And then there's some other equipment and an electrical panel upgrade at Lafayette. So you can see kind of how we're trying to pick off projects in the aging buildings as each summer passes. And we've got some work at the middle school this year, but the majority of the spending is really on aging infrastructure across the buildings, particularly Lafayette this summer.
Anyone else? Any other questions?
Thanks for all
Also,
your hard work.
Also, important to note, this is a preliminary budget. The actual budget's not passed until next month, so if there are more questions that the board members have that we need to address, we can still address those. Correct?
Yes. Yep. Yeah, only other item, I'll jump ahead a little bit. Under our curriculum section is an amendment to the school calendar. We still have 3 days that are extra, if you will, built into the calendar for inclement weather. We only had to close schools 1 day so far this year, this winter. So if the weather holds the next couple of weeks, and of course spring break is the week after next, hard to believe, but we're almost at spring break. If we get there and we don't have any inclement weather, the 3 days that I'm recommending we convert into days of no school would be April 21st, that's a Monday, and that's the day after Easter, and then May 22nd and May 23rd, which are the Thursday and Friday before Memorial Day weekend. So Memorial Day weekend would be long. The Thursday, Friday, and Monday would all comprise a Memorial Day holiday weekend. So if the board acts that way or accepts that recommendation under the curriculum section, we would then make the adjustments and email the parent community either tomorrow or Wednesday to let them note that school will not be in session those days.
Okay, perfect. Excellent. Okay, anybody have any other questions for Dr. LaSousa before we move on? Okay. Thanks to the Finance Committee for all of your work, and Dr. LaSousa, obviously, meeting on Sundays is never fun, but you guys did what you had to do, so thank you for that. Okay, moving on to Business Administrator's Report.
Very concise. All of the planning for the summer construction projects and all of the summer maintenance is well underway. We're gearing up to get started on Tuesday, June 17th, which is I guess 2 days after school is closed. The school graduates and the teachers are all done.
Okay, perfect. And our student liaison, Summer.
I'm just going to keep this kind of brief, but I just want to go over a few things that happened these past couple of weeks. So for sports, obviously, our winter sports were pretty good this year, as they usually are. So we have some county champions. We have boys and girls fencing, and then boys and girls swimming were county champions. And then for sectional or group champions, we have boys and girls swimming again, girls basketball, boys track, and girls fencing. So congratulations to all of them, and then good luck to our spring athletes. For school events, back on February 13th, we had our first, at least in a while, school spirit event, which was super fun. We had it with, it was 9th and 10th graders, and then it was 11th and 12th graders during different class periods. But it was the day before winter break, so it really kind of helped get the school together right before our big break, which was, it was super fun. I really, really enjoyed it. And then we also, last week, we had juniors had 4 days of NJGPA testing, which was just basically our graduation requirement, where we did 2 days of English testing and then 2 days of math testing, which was great to get that over with. And then this past Friday, we had our PTO fashion show. This was definitely a huge success. They sold raffle tickets, had a ton of different fundraisers going on with some awesome sponsors and funny skits, of course, and the students seemed like they had a really fun time, so yeah. And then coming up this week, we have our spring musical, The Music Band, which you can see from all the stuff behind me. So it will be going on from this Wednesday, March 19th, through this Saturday, March 22nd. Show times and ticket sales can be found on the StageS website. That's all.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Summer. Okay, moving on to our committee reports for personnel. Ms. Weber?
Yes, thank you, Ann. The Personnel Committee met on March 5th. We talked about two main topics. Beth gave us a little glimpse into some preliminary staffing numbers. As we mentioned during the budget presentation, or Dr. LaSousa mentioned, that we're staying staffing neutral. And Beth also gave us a summary of updates on updating the hiring process, updating and documenting the hiring procedures, and the goal of that is to be more deliberate, more consistent, and implement best practices. So that team is hard at work, working through and normalizing all of those procedures. So those are the two highlights.
Perfect. Amazing. Curriculum, Ms. Ross?
Sure. The Curriculum Committee also met on March 5th. Dr. Donahue debriefed us on the reconfiguration process that is moving along at a steady clip. The 3rd and 5th grade teachers had visits at their respective new buildings, and there's packing plans and classroom assignments that are being determined. I have a couple of notes for school calendars. There's going to be an early dismissal planned on May 13th for grades K to 3 to accommodate kindergarten orientation, and the middle school will also be dismissed early that day so that 4th and 5th graders can visit the building. We went through a schedule of some of the spring testing dates. I won't read through all of them, but something to note is that there'll be a delayed opening on May 19th and 20th at the high school, and I'm wondering if we can maybe highlight that on the calendar when we send out the new one. There were some rumblings that some of the high school parents were caught off guard for the early dismissals last week. The delayed opening last week. We also talked about the proposed changes to a new textbook for AP Psychology due to a change in some of the topics that are going to be included. We haven't voted on that yet, but it is available in the central office for any board members that would like to review it. And then at our January meeting, we had the principals here of the middle school and the high school to discuss new course offerings. Now that those selections are underway by students, there'll be a determination of what classes will run based on enrollment, and then the curriculum profiles will be written in the spring. And that's it. I don't have the April date for our next meeting off the top of my head, but we'll report on that. I don't know, Peter, do you have the date for the April curriculum meeting?
Give me 1 second.
Okay, thank you. April 9th.
Okay.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you. Finance and Facilities, Mr. Smith.
Yes, we met back on February 12th, and then, as Dr. LaSousa discussed again last night, yesterday afternoon, I should say, we went through the budget for 25-26. Just to reiterate, we talked about, given the CEA increase, the health insurance increase, we started out at a base level that we were going to need to be way above the 2% tax levy, and then we backed into how we were going to get there, combined with the use of health benefit waiver and bank cap as discussed. We finally got to the point where we could offer free full-day kindergarten.
Perfect.
And our next meeting is?
We have a meeting actually scheduled for this Wednesday, like in 2 days. We don't need that, I don't think, because we just met yesterday. So we can forego the policy committee meeting and the finance committee meeting that was on the schedule for this Wednesday night.
Okay, great. And for Policy and Planning, Mr. Ryan?
Yeah, policy met on February 12th. We discussed an out-of-district residency request. It's a student that's here in the district that's moving, and they wish to stay in the district and pay tuition. The committee accepted that recommendation. We also discussed the individual student learning program as it relates to exemptions for PE. We have 71 students right now that enjoy that exemption. 35 of them are in sports programs that we offer here at the high school, so those students will remain exempt from PE during the season. 10 students are in rowing. 6 of those are seniors. 16 are in dance, and 9 of those are seniors. So we have a total of 10 students impacted by eliminating the exemption. The committee remains in support of eliminating the exemption. We also discussed some of the executive orders that have come out from Washington and the impact that they may have in the future on some of our policies. We do need to have a policy committee meeting. I think we should probably keep this one as it relates to some of those executive orders. But we can move it. I don't think we should wait another month.
Okay.
And that's it.
Okay, perfect, thanks. Any liaison reports?
I had a meeting last week, which I wasn't able to attend, but I did get an email today from Carol Norda, who is retiring on, yes.
Really?
Buckle up, everybody who's involved in sports in
Wow.
town. She's retiring April 1st.
April 1st?
That, like, 2 weeks, April 1st. She's out. She's been, and I don't think it's a joke. Yeah, so she's been in the school. She's
Well,
been working in town for
congratulations
39 and
to
a half
Carol
years.
Nada.
She's done great work here, and
Holy
she's retiring.
smokes.
We all know who she is. Our kids have all, she's all touched
What's gonna
everybody
happen?
in some way, shape, or form.
Is
What's
there a
up?
replacement?
She just sent an email today.
Okay.
Just
She
literally,
said she's available for whomever will take her place.
You know?
I predict it'll be 3 people to take her place.
Totally.
oh my God, she's done so much. It's just, I don't know
Wow.
how it's going to happen, but someone's going to have to replace her.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Congratulations, Carol Nada. Okay, perfect. Moving on to the minutes. I'd like to move the minutes from the last meeting, February 3rd meeting.
And as a reminder, Mr. Smith and Dr. Zhang do need to abstain.
Okay.
The minutes from the February 3rd meeting, Ms. Ross? Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Del Sandro?
Yes.
Ms. Peck? Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Abstain.
Ms. Weber?
Yes.
Dr. Zhang? And Ms. Ciccarelli?
Yes.
Minutes pass 702.
Perfect. Amazing. Okay, perfect. This is our first opportunity for public commentary. Hearing of citizens during the public commentary section of the agenda is an opportunity for any member of the public to be heard about issues which are or are not topics scheduled for the current meeting. To help facilitate an orderly meeting and to permit all to be heard, speakers will be asked to limit their comments to a reasonable length of time, please. And if you don't mind just signing in and just stating where you're from, that'd be great. Thank you.
Is there a pen I should use?
Oh.
Thank you. All right, hi, my name is Emily Smith. I'm a freshman here at Chatham High School. Esteemed members of the Chatham Board of Education, I'm here speaking on behalf of the many students impacted by the decision to disband the ISL program. I currently dance at Studio Allegro in Madison, which is obviously not a CHS-provided sport. I dance almost 14 hours a week, which leaves very little time to support a rigorous academic schedule and an intensive sport. On top of that, it creates uncertainty with scheduling. Here at Chatham High School, we have a fantastic array of diverse electives and so many courses we can take to broaden our horizons. There are so many courses I'm interested in, such as ceramics, creative writing, fashion design, and more. However, with the disappearance of ISL, I'm worried I will miss out on not only the necessary credits, but the experiences I would have to give up by taking another full-year study hall. Despite all of this, I don't want to come here and sit up here and complain. I know that there are several liabilities and several reasons to get rid of this program, but I was wondering if it would be possible for Chatham High School to format ISL much like the student internship program, where studios, dojos, any other organization could apply to be a part of our ISL program. That way they would be responsible for our schedule,
any other liabilities, and everything that we now have Chatham High School responsible for. They would be a part of the participating facility and automatically be entitled to a gym exemption, along with the current paragraph and reasons that we currently have our students exempt. I'm already aware of the many students who unfortunately choose to exploit this opportunity, and my goal today is to have you guys, as the Board of Education, consider the impact on the honest students' individual education by eliminating the gym exemption. We all deserve an equal opportunity to learn and grow as people without balancing an impossible schedule. You have the power to make our time here at one of the best schools in the country even better. Thank you for your time and consideration, and I hope your decision is in the best interest of the entire Chatham community. I'm happy to take all questions.
Thank you.
Hello. My name is Meredith Eckert Tuminaro, and I'm also here to speak on behalf of the ISL program. My son Kai couldn't be here tonight, and he's the one that had benefited from it for the last few years. He's a rower, and there's many rowers in Chatham across different clubs, and they all face kind of the same challenges. Obviously, it's not something that's offered out of Chatham High School, but it's been such a huge benefit, but it's also such a huge time commitment for them. My practice is 2 to 3 hours every single day, all year round, including Saturdays and races on Sundays. It's a grueling schedule where my son would leave the house at 7:45 a.m. for school and get home probably about 8 o'clock every night after like all the kids in the carpool were dropped off. And this isn't him alone. There are several kids on his team that suffer the same kind of, heavy load from rowing, but it's taught them so much. My son was benefited so much from rowing. He became much more athletic. He took on challenges that were definitely outside of his wheelhouse. He became a coxswain, and he learned a lot about leadership and quick decision-making and kind of handling himself under pressure, things that he may not have been exposed to had he not done this program. Right now, he actually gave up his ISL, and he's back in gym. And he is the one that, when he ended his winter season, he went right to the person in charge of it and kind of dropped his ISL and went right to gym. So he is one of the honest kids, and I feel like a lot of the kids in the rowing program are. They work really hard, and it's something that he could never have done had he not had the ISL. In the fall semester, he's a senior now, he was rowing, and that was his only study hall, and he was taking calculus, physics 2, he had an honors engineering design class, and he was writing countless, student essay, personal statements for college. So there's no way he could have achieved that without the ISL in place and still rowed and done what he loved. So in defense of all the kids, it's not going to affect my son next year. Maybe in the future it'll affect my younger freshmen. But in defense of all the kids who need this program, please don't cut it, because it is really, really valuable for them. And I'd like to think there's more kids that don't take advantage of it and really, really desperately need it. So that's all I just wanted to say. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much.
Good evening to all. Bill Heap, Chatham Borough. Happy St. Patrick's Day. I guess it's time to offer my full and unconditional surrender with regard to full-day kindergarten. I've always wondered why it has taken so long. I never understood the politics of this, especially with the team in charge down in Trenton. It just seemed to me odd that they never got around to doing it. It appears that Mr. Murphy, on his way out the door, is going to do it because it doesn't cost him anything. And Trenton is very good at issuing mandates that they have no intention of paying for. Another item, I will take issue with your spending per pupil, as I usually do. You have it at 19 and change. The full budget is approaching 95 million, plus or minus. When I divide that by 3,500 students, and I can't do that in my head, sorry, but I will say that that's probably 25,000 plus per student. And that has been a really marked increase in the spending per pupil over the past several years. One of the reasons is that you've had a favorable budget process in the sense that we have lost student population. We are down 400 plus or minus students, 10, 12%. That's not nothing. It's 400 less mouths to feed. And so when you do the spending per pupil numbers, it is pretty substantial, and I don't think anybody can really argue that we're not spending enough money. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Heap.
Hi, Michelle Clark, Chatham Township. I'm here for two reasons. First, I want to acknowledge the retirement of Karen Leister. She was the first person I met when I registered my oldest daughter at Chatham. That was my first exposure. And as you all know, my three kids all traveled through these schools, and I don't think I could have asked better in that moment, and I'm so happy for her retirement. I know she will be missed, but she's truly made an impact. I'm here also tonight to show my support for one of the personnel items for the appointment of Dr. Audra Berger for the Supervisor of Literacy and Technology Education. I have had the true honor of working with Audra for the past 13 years in Millburn. She is a master at all things literacy, and I'm so excited for the families, the teachers, the students to be able to work with her and learn from her. And if Audra can't be down the hall from me, she'll have to be down the street from me. So this is a big win for Chatham. I'm excited for her, and I'm excited for all of you. Thank you, and happy St. Patrick's Day.
Sorry, who are you again?
Okay, thank you, everybody. I'm going to close this portion of the public commentary and move on to our regular agenda. So for our regular action items for personnel, Ms. Weber. Yes, you may comment. I don't mind.
The young lady that spoke about ISL and the rower's mom, I just want to put I love the idea of the companies applying because you thought it through and it's some procedure, but I just want to reiterate what we covered a couple of items a couple of meetings ago. It's not just the physical hours. The mandate goes beyond the physical hours and the specific activity. And then, I'm not going to go that deep into it, but we have no control over the personnel at those agencies. Even if they apply, we have no idea if they do background checks, and the personnel, changes. They have somebody in for a season, and then they lose that person again. And we see it in the news all too often that some of these programs don't have, they have some people that, especially in gymnastics, it's in the news, swimming, it's not pretty. But the school, specifically the superintendent, certificates is kind of on the line that they're attesting that, yes, they're meeting the curriculum. And the private programs, for-profit private programs, are not designed to meet the state mandated curriculum. So not only do we not meet the curriculum, not only are we not able to audit it, not only are we not able to do background checks, if we have a student that gets audited and doesn't have the gym credit, they can't graduate. So it's not just one thing, and we love all the kids that do these extracurricular activities. We absolutely encourage it, and there's tons of benefits. I mean, countless benefits. It just doesn't fit well now, anymore. And it's not the work. I mean, Dr. Walker said they'll do the work. That's not the problem. It's all those other things, and I could probably list 12 more, but those are the highlights. So, sorry, I just want to comment, because I thought it was a great idea that you had, but there's some complications to that as well.
Right.
I don't know if Mike wants to add. Are you good?
I'm good on the ISL. I think you said it all. But I am a little annoyed that Michelle Clark stole my thunder about the people retiring and our new big appointment. So I'll get to that once Ms. Ciccarelli gets into the personnel section of the agenda.
Okay, perfect. So for personnel, Ms. Weber.
Here we are. Okay.
Yes, there might be some highlights.
Apparently there are. I'll talk slow. I'd like to move action items A1 through A23 on the regular agenda, and there's a correction of A22 on the addendum.
Yeah, so I'll jump in here now and just say, there's not a person sitting at this table who doesn't feel some type of affection for one of the people retiring on this list here. We've got some real mainstays, massive contributors to Chatham. I'm not going to go through the entire list, but Kim Lanza has been here certainly longer than I have and has touched so many, I guess I am going to go through a lot. She's touched so many students' lives that it's amazing. Karen Leister, I can't tell you how many people say exactly what Michelle said about the care that she delivered to so many of our students. And of course, she was really my right-hand technical person during the pandemic and dealing with some tough times. Phyllis LaPenta, she's the central office most veteran administrative assistant. She's been a parent here. Both of her children went through. She's wonderful. Debbie Connon in the middle school office helps run the whole entire show there. And I taught her daughter back in the day, 20-something years ago. Mike DeLoya was hired with me, SBS library media specialist, and he's worked in the other elementary schools. And then, of course, two of our most devoted, most caring individuals in the district, Mary Ann Costa and Linda Gallart. And many of you know Mary Ann Costa through some of the students that she's cared for over the years. So I wish all of them the best. And then, of course, number 7 on the agenda, for like 10 years now or so, I've heard about, in education circles are kind of small. You hear about some legend in another district. You hear about someone who's a clown in another district, all this gossip. I've been hearing literally for 10 years about some rock star named Dr. Audra Berger over at Milburn. And there's got to be a way we can get her here. There's got to be a way we can get her here. I've heard that honestly like 15, 20 times probably over the past 10 years. And sure enough, I'm stepping away, and Dr. Donahue and Dr. Sortino find a way to get Audra Berger here. So I want to welcome her to the school district of the Chathams. I think she'll be very happy working with the team we have, and we look forward to bringing her on board officially very soon. So.
Amazing. Welcome. Okay. Do you want to say something, Dr. Berger?
Were you waiting for Mike to leave?
Good move.
I don't think in my life I've ever been called a legend or a rock star, certainly not in one sentence. And when I go home, I will share with my husband what people have said about me so that he can maybe adopt some of the language. Thank you very much for having me here. I'm very excited to join the school district of the Chathams. And as much as I guess my name is floated out there, I have heard about Chatham over and over again as well. And of course, I live locally, so I'm very aware of the spectacular reputation of the school district. I'm incredibly excited to be here. I've been impressed the entire way through this process. And even more tonight because I got a chance to see some of the fantastic programs that are offered in the Chathams, and I know it's just a tiny drop, but seeing the sets of the Music Man and the props that I've been sitting behind all night, I'm a big theater fan, so that was exciting for me. The AV students and the robotics team, which I'm very happy I did not have to follow. But I'm incredibly excited to be here and see even more of it as I progress through the years. Thank you so much.
Amazing. Congratulations and welcome aboard. We're happy to have you.
The meetings are taped, so you could just show your husband all the kind words.
Okay, perfect. So I'm going to second Jill.
Okay. That's what I was waiting for.
I just did. I just seconded.
Agenda items A1 to 23 and the correction on A22. Ms. Ross?
Yes.
Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Del Sandro?
Yes.
Ms. Peck? Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Weber?
Yes.
Dr. Zhang?
Yes.
And Ms. Ciccarelli?
Yes.
Agenda items passed 9-0. Welcome, Dr. Berger.
Amazing. Thank you. Finance and facilities, Mr. Smith.
Sure. I move agenda items B1 to B19 on the regular agenda, which includes 2 generous donations, one from Mr. Ahrens on behalf of the Baseball Club of Chatham for baseball outfield fence windscreen, and also a donation from the Lafayette PTO to be used towards new and upgraded basketball hoops for the Lafayette gym. Thank you for those donations. I also want to move B20 on the addendum, which is the preliminary 25-26 budget that Dr. LaSousa presented on. Second from Mr. Delason.
With no further questions, agenda items B1 through 19 and the addendum of B20. Ms. Ross?
Yes.
Mr. Allen? Ms. Allen, sorry.
Yes.
Mr. Del Sandro?
Yes.
Ms. Peck?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Weber?
Yes.
Dr. Zhang?
Yes.
And Ms. Chigarelli?
Yes.
Agenda items passed 9-0.
Perfect. Okay, moving on to curriculum. Ms. Ross?
Yes, I'd like to move C1 through C4, and a reminder that C4 is the changes to the calendar to include the extra unused snow days.
Second.
Agenda items C1 to C4. Ms. Ross?
Yes.
Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Del Sandro?
Yes.
Ms. Peck?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Weber?
Yes.
Dr. Zhang?
Yes.
And Ms. Chigarelli?
Yes.
Agenda items passed 9-0.
Okay, perfect. And policy, we have nothing. Okay, moving on to board business. Anybody have anything else they want to discuss that we haven't already? No? Okay, good. This is our second opportunity for public commentary. As stated earlier, if you would not mind keeping it brief, signing in, introducing yourself.
Very briefly, I have heard rumors of pre-K coming on the horizon, and I'm wondering if you know anything about that, whether it would be mandatory, whether it would be, or whether the district would be in any way able to accommodate that. And maybe these are just the same rumors that I heard 15 or 20 years ago about kindergarten, but it might give me something to still come to meetings for. Thanks.
Well, I want you to come to meetings long after I'm gone. So one of Governor Murphy's centerpieces in his term has been the expansion of preschool, universal pre-K. And the state has funded universal pre-K in its fiscal budgets for the past number of years. At this point, the majority of districts in New Jersey do have universal preschool, and many of them have gotten there through funding from the state. And there's an application process that districts can pursue. Many of our colleagues, Dr. Sortino and I, we have colleagues that have talked to us about their experience in submitting the application for preschool expansion. And they've been very satisfied and pleased with how that has been received by the state. So there are two pathways now that we will have more space in our K through 2 school buildings. One pathway would be through the application process that the state offers. And in this current proposed fiscal budget for 26, there remains preschool funding. That's one pathway. The other pathway would be through a tuition program, which some districts also operate. So there's nothing definitive, but in the future, that is something that the Board of Education under Dr. Sortino's direction and guidance can explore as a potential revenue source and a potential way to expand early childhood offerings to the children in this community.
Okay. Yes. We have no executive session, correct?
Unless Ms. Grant tells us we need an executive session, we don't have an executive. We do not have an executive session.
Okay, perfect. All right, well, we'll close this public commentary and we will adjourn the meeting. Thank you, everybody. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Thanks for coming.
disposable side pouches. Thank you so much for helping to clean up.
Doesn't seem like you're cleaning up your show.